If you don't know by now that Cern has shut down and some very strange and bizarre things are going on, some things are just unexplained, from human changes to earth changes to just weird, bizarre things coming back. People were missing things and now all of a sudden they're back. But I think the one that has me tripped up the most, and I've seen hundreds of comments just in my posts and other people's posts, that there is massive amounts, and I mean massive amounts of women that are reporting two things, and they could be correlated since this shutdown. The first thing is women are reporting that they're having no period or double periods and they're not pregnant. Now, the flip side, which makes this even more bizarre, is then you have women who have tried to get pregnant and they couldn't get pregnant for nothing. And now all of a sudden, could be pure coincidence that Cern is shut down, women are able to get pregnant again.
Okay, so
if you don't know,
let me explain to y'all what's going on. This is from my perspective and my research and my study. And this is a lifelong study. I've been doing this for a while, right? Now, what CERN stands for Council European Research Nuclear, or better known as European Organization of Nuclear Research. What CERN do, they control what they call the Large Hadron Collider. Now, what this is basically like a vacuum, a tube that goes around in a circle, right? It's very large underneath France, Switzerland, and Geneva, right? Underground. It runs about 17 miles circular, okay? Now, they use this underground for particles, right? It's a particle accelerator. Particle accelerator means they crash the smallest particles together, right? I want to get into detail about the particles because that's a whole nother thing going on. I'm trying to keep this simple for a lot of people. Now, particles and atoms or nucleus, the smallest atoms, smallest particles, right? Everything is made of particles. Now, just imagine just crashing things around in your house. Just imagine breaking open an egg. Imagine breaking open a clock and figuring out the smallest pieces of how the clock works. Now, I'm trying to say these things as basic as possible, right? Because it can get extensive. Now, basically, they're just breaking particles apart, breaking things apart, trying to see the inside of the mechanics of the particles. Because we know everything around us is atoms and particles and nucleus and protons and neutrons and all type of parts of physics, right? They're basically, I said, breaking everything apart, just see how the fabric of the universe works. That's how we get phones and cameras, and how we even make up refrigerators and light bulbs, and they had to break things apart to the smallest atom to see how to even put it back together or to create or recreate life. Just like studying childhood, how childbirths happen, like, trying to figure out mankind and humans and the body and the brain. You had to get down to you had to open the brain up to figure out how the brain works. You see how I'm going with this? So they're trying to figure out how the universe worked from the start. And them studying particles and them studying, different types of electron, proton, nucleus, neutrons, whatever, right? That tells them how the world, or how we can use the world to come up with different technology, different for like health benefits, communication, careers, jobs, anything. Is trying to find things to keep us working and keep us elevating, right? And sometimes this can get into the wrong hands, the wrong leaders, the wrong kings, and the people that lead the world, right? The people that run the world, they get together with scientists and come up with a plan to actually control the world and the trajectory of the world, They come up with a system based upon what they know about the universe to control how humans act or how they respond or how they work into a system, because they need people to be aligned. They need us to, it's called order out of chaos, because if we don't be in order, mainly it'll be chaos, but eventually the world will work out a balance of its own, okay? But they want to lead the world. They want to control the narrative. They want to control the directory and come up with their own system so they can reap the benefits besides us reaping our own benefits, right? Us coming to a balance of our own. Now, what's going on in this video? He's saying, I want to clarify that what Cern, because a lot of people don't know what's going on. Now, what he's saying in this video, he pretty much saying the Large Hadron Collider, Cern, that runs that collider, the particle accelerator, they turned this machine off. Now they had machines before this, right? They turned this machine off for upgrades. Now I'm getting a little deep into that. They had machines before this dating back a couple of decades before. I didn't do any research before a couple of decades, maybe the 70s and the 80s, right? I don't know what they had before then, but this is when they got their first, I think it's called Cyclone, not Cyclone, but Cyclider or something like that. That was a smaller one. Now, it seems like every couple decades, they upgrade to a larger collider, right? They upgrade to a bigger collider or a faster collider or some type of upgrades, and magnets. They got better magnets and just better upgrades. Now, as we go along with upgrade, they upgrade as well. So they shut the Large Hadron Collider down. And a lot of people are saying, oh, they're switching timelines, they're opening wormholes, they're opening doorways to let spirits in. Now, that could be true, and that is true, but it depends on how you're looking at this thing, all right? Timeline shifts, but they're measuring time, so-called time, against how we respond to. Everything must die off, right? Everything must end eventually. It's just like when you're born, then you die. You're born, die. The earth is upgrading itself, right? Now, I'll go back to like the baby boomers. And then you got, before that, you had the silent boomers. I mean, the silent generation. Then you had the baby boomers. And then you got Generation X, Generation Y, which is millennials. And you got Generation Z. Then you got Generation Alpha, right? We are putting these things in order because within these generations, there are changes within every few couple of decades. There are changes. There are atmosphere changes. There are global changes. We have global warming. We have the sun. The sun might heat up. The sun might cool down. The sun might heat, extreme heat, right? Within these changes, people change. Our biology change. We mutate. We may change it to different things, right? That's why they so call us aliens, okay? Now, let me get that straight. That's why they so call us aliens, because we evolve over time, but some of us have been here for, I'm talking about, I don't even know, millions of years, right? Millions of years. And using this particle collider, right? Crashing these particles, they are pinpointing how the universe evolved, like the Big Bang Theory. So they're pinpointing how the universe evolved because time is an illusion. Everything is happening all at once, meaning anything that happened millions and millions and millions of years ago is still happening, because it's like we get to see things, like we look into space, right, with telescopes, even with our eyes, we are seeing things happen as it is happening. We're seeing things happen trillions and billions, trillions of years ago, okay? We're seeing it with our own eyes. We may not see it at a certain speed like how we're moving in real time, but we're actually seeing it. It looks like it's not moving, but we're actually seeing the universe move, but it's not moving. You understand what I'm saying? It's happening right in front of our eyes. Everything is happening, but we're in another dimension where we're able to see things in real time and at the speed of light, right? So within particles, breaking these particles together, we're actually trying to explain how the universe is working so we can use that and get on the right so-called timeline. But it depends on who is looking at it, right? It depends on how we are looking at these things, right? How does that go back to, what is that called? Now, I can get a little deeper into the slit experiment. Now, the double slit experiment that they do with particles, they shoot the smallest part. Like I said, they shoot particles within, they shoot light particles within 2 double slits. Now, long story short, when these particles go through these slits, it's called the observer effect. Now, the particles, when you shoot them through the slit, they either change from waves or dots, depending on who's looking, right? Now, when you observe them, that's the observer effect, they may change to waves, they may change to particles, depending on who's looking. That's the same thing with life, right? It's just like if you watch something, if you pay attention to something, eventually you observing that thing, or like imagine you meet somebody and you talking to them, you can change their whole reality, right? You can change their whole life just by communicating with somebody. It's the same thing with particles. Just by observing the particles, you can decide just by looking at it how that particle reacts, meaning you're giving it a definition. Just like the dictionary, all the words, we give those words definition, which makes us act and react a certain way. Now, it's the same thing what they doing with this Hadron Collider, right? They're basically trying to figure out how the fabric of the universe works. Now, going back to, like I said, what he's talking about, a lot of women are turning up pregnant. That's because the world and Mother Earth is changing. There's big changes happening. It's just like every generation. Every generation, we got different ways of working. We got different ways of communicating, with banking, farming, trading. It's different ways as time progresses. Now we got AI, we got phones, we got computers. It's different upgrades. We upgrade, technology upgrade, Mother Earth upgrades, the atmosphere upgrades, the sun upgrades. There's different upgrades, there's different mechanics of the world, right? But the Hadron Collider, what they do is they're just pretty much pinpointing at times, crashing these particles together at what times. They're pretty much measuring what's going on in life and what's going on in the universe. This is how they decide, like looking at us, because we are particles. We are made of the same fabric of the universe. So them looking at the substance that we're made of, atoms, particles, it also describes how we react to the universe, or how the universe reacts to us, because we are a part of the universe. We are a part of the segment of the universe, right? We are a part of the Akashic records, because the Akashic records is just every part of the universe has different fabrics, right? There's different quantum mechanics of the universe, and we're part of it, right? We're a different substance. Like it's just like the water. The water is a different substance. The earth is a different substance. The tree, like I said, the trees, the earth is a different substance. We are a different substance. We flow, trees flow, animals flow, every air flows, everything flows at a different vibratory frequency. Okay? Now, that's all going on. Now, a lot of women have, like I said, a lot of women be having changes with birth. Like they have their periods. Some women had 2 periods, right? They had a lot of women turn up pregnant all of a sudden. They can't get pregnant in years. You get what I'm saying? Because the earth, Mother Earth is changing, and Mother Earth is coming back strong, right? Because patriotism has had its run for the longest, but now the world is flipping upside down. That's destruction. That's Mother Earth trying to recalibrate how everything was going, right? It's taking control. Now, Father Time don't really have the control anymore, okay? A lot of people, a lot of timeline is opening up. A lot of people have the freedom to do what they want to do. You don't got to go by the books, meaning religiously, you ain't got to go by the books. You ain't got to go by, you got to do things a certain way anymore, because there's many doorways opening up. And we can see that because we have phones. We get to see everybody else's life. We get to learn everything we want to learn. It's not a one way of doing anything anymore, right? So, like I said, the earth is going through changes. We going through changes biologically. Everybody's going through changes, right? Breakups, relationships, whatever you name it, right? People dealing with emotions, people dealing with thoughts, spirits, all types of stuff going on right now, right? We having earthquakes, we having war, and history repeats itself. You go down the timeline, you will see, like I said, you got the silent generation, you got the baby boomers, you got Generation X, Generation Y, Z, Alpha. Within all of these time frames, it went through cycles, but it always balanced out, right? It's always been an up and down, the growth, a short fall, short growth, short fall, right? This is all going on, right? Now we're gonna, like I said, as time progresses, we're gonna see more and more changes. That's why they turned it, like I said, they always turned the Hadron Collider off around every end of a century. Every end of a decade, right? Like 2000, and after 2000 we had the 9/11 attacks, right? We had 2008, they turned it off. We had the 2008 financial crisis, right? We all know they turned it off in 2000, and then like I say, 2000. After 2008, people said the world ended in 2012, right? Something around there. And then we had 2018, they turned off. Between 2018 and 2024, we know 2020, everybody remember 2020, we had the CV, right? So it's like they always turn it off at the end of like a decade, or like I say, millennials, like they had in 2000, people thought the world was going to end, right? So it's like every time it was a moment when we're getting up, it's supposed to be like an upgrade, or it's like a crisis or something like that. At the end, they always turned off right before something is supposed to happen. Now, right now, they turn it back on. They say they turn it back on 2030. Now, 2030 is where they say everything reboots itself. Like right now, it's like a reset. It's like a global reset. Everything's shut down. People can't pay their bills. We having housing crisis. People losing out on their homes. People losing their jobs. It's a lot of crisis going on right now. Now, eventually, the Earth will recalibrate itself around, they say, around 2030. That's when, like I say, they within these doing researching particles and doing inventions and making life better. We got AI. We got robots. We got all this stuff. We supposed, they supposed to be using to make life better, because you always need a slave to the system. I feel like every, like I said, the silent generation, the boomers, you have Generation X, Generation Y, like everybody always become a slave. The new babies always become the slave to the system, right? But they're figuring out life don't work like that. Like this stuff don't work like that, right? And it get worse and worse and worse. So now they had to figure out a way, like I said, robots, and we have to depend on AI at this point, because the cycle is just going to keep repeating itself, if not get worse. You understand what I'm saying? So 2030, they're trying to make tech job, like they're saying that pretty much AI is going to run the system. We're going to depend on machines. We're going to depend on robots, right? We're going to depend on half man, half robot, cyclones, stuff like that, right? Pretty much Terminator. You get what I'm saying? Skynet, things like that. It's a system within a system, right? But I can go even deeper, man. I'll make a whole nother video. I explain more. But like I just want to say, like I said in this video, like they saying after Cern shut down, they pretty much saying women had 2 periods this month, right? And it went down June 29th. That was a full moon, strawberry moon. That was June 29th, strawberry moon in Capricorn, right? And a lot of people coming out around this time, what is it? Mercury retrograde. You got Mercury retrograde, and you got the new moon in Cancer. So a lot of people are feeling it, right? Feeling the effects of home and their body and stuff like that, okay? But like I said, a lot of changes going on, but and a lot of women are going to feel this right now. Mostly women going to feel like most women are going to be able to tell. Women have an intelligence to the moon. They have that emotional intelligence, right, to understand when something happens like that, right? They can feel it in their body, right? But I'm gonna make a whole nother video, man. I'm gonna go a little deeper on this. Just like for basics. I'm gonna chop this video up and try to see if I can squeeze everything in a good amount of time. But y'all stay tuned. Y'all know what time it is. Y'all make sure y'all like, share, subscribe, do all that good stuff. Stay tuned. More videos on the way.